Chapter 20 Apache, The Shadows, My Band, My Gang, My Family. I will freely confess that I've always loved being number one in the pop chart. It means for 1 week at least you're at the top of the tree and your tune is the favorite song in the whole country. What's not to like about that? So, how does it feel to be knocked off number one by your own band? Well, let me tell you, it feels absolutely fantastic. Musicians often say that being in a band is like being in a gang or even a family. I think there's a lot of truth in that. The Shadows and I have been tight friends for more than 60 years now. Our own little gang has gone on for a very long time, although sometimes, like any gang, the members have changed. After we did our tour with the Kalin twins in 1958, when in fact we were still the Drifters, Ian Samuel left the group. It wasn't his choice. We had Hank, Bruce, and Jet now, and his guitar playing just wasn't quite on the same level. As ever, the music had to come first, no matter how close our friendship was. Ian did great things for the Drifters and for me. He wrote our huge breakthrough single Move It, and even helped to rename me when I stopped being Harry Webb. I'm sure he was a little hurt at being asked to leave the group, but happily, we stayed close. And Ian carried on writing songs for me. With the new band lineup in place at the start of 1959, it was also evident that Terry Smart was a little out of his depth as our drummer. He had been fantastic on the primal adrenaline rush of Move It, but when we tried to write and record more complex material, Terry's playing wasn't quite up to it. It was hard for me to tell him he had to go. Terry and I had been in bands together since the Dick Teak Skiffle group. He was even with me that fateful Saturday in Waltham Cross when I first heard Elvis. But I couldn't disagree with the others when they said his drumming limited us musically. Because they were right. This was one of the reasons I hated it when the press started calling me a wimpy goody two-shoes. If only they knew. I was never afraid to make painful decisions for the good of my music and my career. Luckily, we had a replacement drummer lined up. Hank and Bruce knew Tony Meehan from the Two Eyes Coffee Bar, and he had already played with Jet Harris in the Vipers Skiffle group, even though he was still only 16. Tony slotted straight into the Shadows, and his drumming took us to a whole new level. With this improved new lineup in place, I was desperate for Norrie Paramore to let the Shadows play on all my records, rather than hiring session men. Norrie was not convinced at first. He feared my new band members were just young guys off the street, rather than experienced professional musicians. "Studios are not cheap, Cliff," he told me. "I need you to be recording 3 songs an hour." But when I finally persuaded him to give Hank, Bruce, Jet, and Tony a chance and give them a listen in the studio, he was quickly persuaded. "They're great," he said, surprised. "Yes, you can definitely use these guys. No problem." In fact, the Shadows were to surpass all Norrie's expectations. We never wrote or rehearsed material in the studio, as the Beatles were to do. That meant their albums cost a fortune to make. Instead, we'd get the songs down pat first, then just go in and record them, sometimes 5 songs in a 3-hour session. Norrie loved that. Once the lineup was in place, the Shadows and I went out and gigged and gigged and gigged. We worked so hard. We were spending weeks and weeks at a time in transit vans and B&Bs. It certainly helped to establish our career, but it also took me away from my friends and family for a lot longer than I'd have liked. We slogged so hard because we knew what we had could so easily be taken away from us at any moment. We'd seen so many of our musical competitors fall away. The press would sometimes write that we'd be here today, gone tomorrow. And I guess we half believed them. We had no idea how long it would last. Out on the road, non-stop, of course, we were living in one another's pockets. We got to know each other's foibles and idiosyncrasies off by heart. It can be tough to live on top of each other like that. Mostly we got along, though, and it helped to have not one, but two wisecracking jokers in our midst. As I said, Hank and Bruce had known each other since they were schoolboys in Newcastle. It meant they had an almost telepathic relationship, both musically and comedically. They were both masters of the one-liner and would frequently have the rest of us cracking up. Believe me, that helps on the road. There is no doubt that the Shadows in this new incarnation were an incredibly talented band. They deserved to be more than, as Jet had archly commented, in my shadow, and Norrie Paramore recognized that. Halfway through 1959, he offered the group their own separate recording contract. This made a lot of sense. Norrie had already started thinking about me recording some tracks on my albums with the Shadows and some with his orchestra, which might free up some time for them. Plus, they were such great musicians that they deserved to be a band in their own right. We all thought it was a terrific idea. Norrie released a few Drifters or Shadows singles in 1959. Feeling Fine was written by Ian Samwell and had vocals. The Shadows released very occasional tracks with vocals. Hank, Bruce, and Jet all had a go at singing, but everybody always thinks of them as an instrumental band, as they nearly always were. And Jet Black was an instrumental written by Jet Harris. They weren't hits. Lonesome Fella, written by radio DJ Charlie Chester's son, Pete, and sung by Jet, snuck into the charts at number 31. Then, their next release struck gold. A singer-turned-songwriter named Jerry Lorden came to one of our shows with an instrumental tune he had written. He had originally presented it to Burt Whedon, who had recorded it, but for some reason not released it. Undeterred, Jerry now thought that it might be good for the Shadows. The name of the instrumental was Apache. Jerry initially played it backstage at a show to Jet Harris on a ukulele. When Jet liked it, Jerry played it to the rest of the band. Everybody could tell it was a great tune. When Hank and Bruce picked up their guitars to run through it, the twang and the rhythm sounded fantastic. It was clearly something special.